Hey everyone, my name is Sam. This is the first time you will see me on this channel, SeemsGoodMagic.com. If all goes well, hopefully you'll see me here again in the future. I come from my own YouTube channel making draft videos there, so hopefully I'll be able to make draft videos on both, but we'll see. So I'm just here to draft a friendly Kaladesh draft league. I don't know. Let's just get down to business. It seems like an easy torrential Gearhulk here. This card's a bomb, it's worth a little bit of money, it's playable and constructed. This card is where it's at. It's basically a Snapcaster Mage once you put it down, although it can only target instants, not instants and sorceries. If that wasn't in the pack, I think the next pick would be either Essence Extraction or Pima Outrider. Both are great cards, but Torrential Gearhulk is just in a league of its own here, and so that is what we are going to go with. Alright, so we get a Torrential Gearhulk. We pass a black card and a green card. And what we have here is a pretty good black card, a Midnight Oil. It enters the battlefield with 7 counters. Every draw step, you remove 2 counters and draw a card. If you have to discard, you lose a life. It's a very good, grindy black control card. Very unbeatable in the late game. If you're drawing 2 cards per turn and you have no cards in hand, that's a huge advantage to your opponent, just drawing 1 per turn. I am very tempted, however, to take Aether Meltdown. How it is usually a removal spell. It adds energy and it stays in our color blue. Revoke Privileges is a great white card, and for green, there's really only a Tune with Aether. I don't think there is any reason to take Aether Hub here, although it is pretty good. So I would say the 3 cards we're choosing between are Meltdown, Privileges, and a Midnight Oil. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and take Meltdown and stay in blue. Alright, so now we have no blue options. If we had taken the black card, we wouldn't really have any black options either. Weapon and Craft Enthusiast is just okay. Ambitious Aetherborn is just okay. Visionary Augmenter is very good in the Go Wide token decks, usually featuring Inspire Charge. The best card in this pack, though, is Revoke Privileges, and so we are going to take it. It's not the best against blue decks, as they can frequently bounce things. It's not the best against green decks, as they frequently have Appetite for the Unnatural, but it's still pretty good there, and it is good against red, and it's great against black, so we're going to take it. And now we're in kind of an interesting spot here, where we do see a Malphus Squad, a very good black card, after a pack with okay black in it, so black could be open. We see an Inspire Charge, but that's the only white card. We see an Appetite for Unnatural, which is a good green card, but maybe one of the worst commons. Green is very, very deep, so it's maybe one of the worst green commons, I should say. And Jean-Jeet Sentry if we want to stay in blue. I don't know how good this guy is, but I feel like he's only marginally playable. I don't think he's fantastic. Yes, he makes 2 energy for 3 mana, but he's mostly just a 2/3, and he can tap some things down, so if your deck can make a lot of energy, he's great. But otherwise, I think he's only like a marginally playable card. I'm tempted to take Malphus Squad here, as I think black could be open, so that's what I'm going to do. And now we get a second Revoke Privileges, a Die Young, a Foundry Screecher, or an Aether Tradewind. So this signals to me that blue is okay. There's been no red and there's been no green, right? So obviously the person on our right is cutting those colors for sure. There's been some black, though, with Foundry Screecher and Die Young, and now we get another Revoke Privileges. What I don't want to do is I definitely don't want to be in a deck with too many Revoke Privileges. You can definitely do that if you have 3 or 4, or 4 and a Malfunction. You can definitely have too many. So I think Die Young's better than Screecher, especially in black-blue or black-white, both decks that tend to create a little bit of energy. Black-red does not create any. So Die Young's a little bit better, in this deck, but I'm still going to take the Privileges. I think it's just too good. Yeah, alright, see, this is the issue, is now we get a card like this, Malfunction, much better than Insidious Will. I don't think Insidious Will is even close to playable. And not that Malfunction would go better in black-blue than it does in blue-white, but I just think it's, yeah, I don't know. I'm just, like, having a Malfunction and 2 Revoke Privileges is a little sketchy. A little sketchy. So, we could take a Thriving Turtle. It's a pretty good defensive card. It makes energy. I think Thriving Ibex is a little better, though. Now we see 2 decent green cards in Artisan and Cobra. We could take a Nimble Innovator, but I don't think there's any reason to do that. White's obviously open, headed in our direction. I'm just going to take an Ibex. And here I'm just going to take a Built to Last. One of these is always playable. I mean, you're going to have creatures, so you got to play it. And there's nothing else here. I mean, Harsh Scrutiny is fine, but it's not great in draft. So we could take a second Built to Last here. It seems like White's pretty open. We could also just take an Acrobatic Maneuver. You exile target creature you control, return it to the battlefield, and you draw a card. So you're basically flashing something. It's good with things like Ibex to get energy. It's good with a bunch of the 2-drops. And Refurbish is actually okay. I mean, Refurbish can get us a Torrential Gearhulk, don't get me wrong, but I'm just not sure it's great. So we might not even... I mean, we're probably in blue because we have 2 great blue cards, but this is not the best blue card in the world. I'm going to take Eager Construct. We have no 2-drops so far. This format really cares about 2-drops. I think Eager Construct actually just might be a better card. Like, 2/2 Scry colorless might be better than 2/2 draw card blue. It might just be better, never mind costing 2 less mana, and being an artifact, which is pretty relevant in the set. I mean, there are a ton of reasons it's relevant. However, the 2/2 blue draw card is better with Acrobatic Maneuver, but we definitely don't want another 4-drop right now. So this is what we're looking at. Should be pretty good. We get a Blade Master or a Pressure Point. We're just taking the Blade Master. In a deck with things like Built to Last, an Acrobatic Maneuver, an Aether Meltdown, all these things with Flash, it's totally fine. Curio Vendor or Revolutionary Rebuff. I'm tempted to take the Rebuff, I just think it's a better card. And now we get 3 playables. Wow, someone took a land over any of these playables. I really don't like the Dwarf Soldier, so I'm just going to take the Herald. Alright, now we get a rebuff. Someone must have mispicked that land. That does not seem correct. Alright, so we have a ton of white cards. We have some blue cards. And we have 1 black card that we're probably not playing. So we seem to be heavy in blue-white. And now we get a Hydra. Great. Aether Hub or Gearseeker Serpent. This Hydra is just a bomb, but I mean, green was obviously not open. That means it could be open this pack, but I don't know. I mean, we cut blue and white pretty well as well, so I would imagine we'll get paid off. And Gearseeker Serpent's totally fine. It's just huge. It can come down very early, so yeah, I mean, it's going to be okay here. Yeah, I mean, so this is it. This is Fumigate. I think we did it here. Some people are going to say take Prophetic Prism. Impeccable Timing is not great in this deck. But I think we just take Fumigate. I mean, it's a bomb. We're definitely a control deck. So we just got to take it. And now we get another Aether Meltdown. We could take a Propeller Pioneer. We could take a Blade Master. We could take a Prism again. But I think we just take the Meltdown. The Meltdown makes all of our Blade Masters better, it makes all of our mana sinks, or our energy sinks better, and it's just a pretty good card. A pretty good card. So, we definitely have some top end. Looking for more early artifacts, looking for Prophetic Prisms, we'll play some Glass Blows, Puzzlenauts at this point. I mean, green really has the best ways to abuse energy. Blue-white lacks a little bit in that department, but I mean, there's still plenty of ways like Ibexes and whatever to figure out a way to use energy. Aether Theorist is another one that's okay. So here we get a Harness Lightning, a Peafowl, and a Visionary Augmenter. So this is Harness Lightning, just a great card. Now we already have 2 Meltdowns, 2 Privileges, a Malfunction, and a Fumigate. If we didn't have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards, I would definitely consider this. Mostly because it's great with Torrential Gearhulk, also because it's not terrible on the splash. As is, I'm considering Peafowl or Augmenter. Peafowl might get the slight nod because it's an artifact, which matters for Gearseeker Serpent. But I think Augmenter is just a better card. I'm just going to take Augmenter. It makes a ton of blockers. Can also be a big attacker by itself. I hate passing this Harness Lightning, and maybe it's correct to take it and splash it, but I think I'm just taking the Augmenter here. Now we get a Steed, a Propeller Pioneer, or a Turtle. I think Pioneer's better than Steed. It's just another way to kill them. It can also make an artifact if we need. and it also makes a blocker as well. So I think this is slightly better than Steed. So I would much rather have a 2-1 flying and a 1-drop than a 2-2 with haste and a 1, just my personal opinion. So that's what I'm going to do, although that does make 2 artifacts, which can be pretty good. Here we get another Blade Master, an Outrider, which, I mean, is just insane. There must have been a lot of green in this pack. Wild Streams is also here, and we get a Mastodon. Don't love Servo Exhibition, although it's obviously pretty good in a deck with a Gear Seeker Serpent, right? Because you make 2, and then this is all of a sudden a 5-drop. However, I think I'm going to take Mastodon here. I think it's good enough. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good card. And now we got a Puzzle Knot if that's really the direction we want to go. Herald of the Fair, we already have 1, and I'm not sure we're playing 2 in this deck. We already have 17 playables as well, and we're only in pack number 2. We could take a Malphus Squad, but we're never playing it. So we might as well just take something like Cogworker's Puzzle Knot. It's pretty okay. It doesn't work with this, but it's totally fine. And now we're going to take the Fragmentize over the Ear Construct. Fragmentize deals with some things that Revoke Privileges does not. However, Aether Meltdown deals with those things maybe, so maybe it is Construct. So the things I'm talking about are like Renegade Freighters and vehicles and stuff like that. You do usually want 1 Fragmentize in these decks. It is pretty good. But I could also see taking Construct. Yeah, just another 2-drop. Alright, we could hate a Pyrohelix, but there's no point in that. We're just going to take a Pressure Point. Again, we could hate a Motorist, but there's no point in that, so I think we take a Rebuff. I don't think we're playing Workshop Assistant. Now we get 2 pretty good cards, a Blade Master or a Hermit. We have a lot of reason to want to play Blade Master. I mean, we have a Built to Last, 2 Meltdowns, an Acrobatic Maneuver. We have some reasons to want to play this. It's also an early drop. Yeah. Alright, I mean, now we'll take the Automaton. I don't think I'm ever playing a Dromedary or whatever it's called, but I could play the Automaton. I am going to take this Ruinous Gremlin because if there is any situation in which we are splashing, I mean, if there's ever a situation in which we're splashing for red, Ruinous Gremlin could be something we bring in against a grindy control deck because we don't have a card like Fragmentize. Also, white doesn't have access to anything like Appetite for the Natural, so... Welp. This draft is, turn it up Sam, as they say. I mean, Aether Squall Ancient, just a bomb. Big, big, big bomb. I mean, first of all, 6/6 flying for 7 is absurd. Second of all, the ability is just crazy. The one card I'm sad about passing is Tidy Conclusions. Other than that, there's nothing for us. Renegade Freighter goes in the aggro decks. We are not that aggro deck. I mean, we're just going to take our Aether Squall Ancient and be very, very happy. I was going to say, the only thing better than this Aether Squall Ancient would be like if we could get a Dovinbon. Those are like $1, so maybe someone will pass them. But yeah, if we got a Dovinbon, we'd be very, very happy. And right now we have Ancient, Gearhulk, Gearseeker Serpent, Fumigate. So we have our top end kind of taken care of. Now we have to figure out the bottom end / middle of the deck. We could take a Tezzerant's Ambition, although I think these can go around to pretty late. Our Authority of Councils is just not good. It's just not good. I mean, your opponents, they enter the battlefield tapped. Who cares? They just attack the next turn. Like, it's not good in a control deck. Maybe it's okay in an aggro deck. I'm not sure about it. I think Aviary Mechanic has to be the play here. I mean, you can bounce your own Meltdowns. You can bounce your own Privileges. You can bounce your own Malfunctions. It's a 2-drop. I think it has to be the pick here. It's this or Ambition. I don't think it's another Pioneer. I think it's that. Alright, I mean, we could take an Ibex, but I don't think that's the play. I think we just take another Serpent, and we probably try to fit in a few more artifacts, right? I mean, at this point, we're not really passing a Prophetic Prism. But we have an Augmenter, a Pioneer, to make a ton of artifacts. We have a Mastodon and 2 Constructs, and, I mean, we're just trying to make more, so I would take the Serpent. This is over an Ibex, which I don't think is that hard of a pick. Okay, so we could take a Puzzle Knot. What are we doing with our energy at this point? We're making a ton of energy with Meltdowns, and that's it. I guess we're using it for our Aether Squall Ancient. Yeah, that seems to be it. We could take a Puzzle Knot. We could also take a Pioneer. I don't mind Hermit as a way to use our energy, but, I mean, our top end is huge at this point. I mean, Ancient, 2 Serpents, a Gear Hulk, and a Mastodon. We don't need any more top end. I would consider taking Puzzle Knot, but I think I'm just going to take Pioneer here. Puzzle Knot's not as bad as people say it is. It's just not as bad. Alright, I mean, now we can take a John Jeet Sentry. It gives us something else to do with our energy, and it's an early drop, so... I mean, we can take it here. It's this or Consulate Skygate. That could actually be close. I mean, Skygate could be the pick, but it just doesn't do enough in a lot of matchups, and so I'm going to take the Sentry. Here we get another Revoke Privileges. I mean, we're going to have to cut a lot of stuff from this deck. I don't know if we're going to cut all the Revoke Privileges or not, but we might have to. And an Aether Theorist or a Peafowl. Peafowl, again, is an artifact. Although we can make artifacts with all these things if we have to. Or if we want to, I should say. This is a 1-drop that gives us a reason to use our energy, gets us to our bombs. I mean, it's pretty good. Alright, I mean, we're never splashing this. We're never playing a Windreak, right? We could take a Nymphbridge Patrol, maybe? Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have no issues killing people here. Let's just put it that way. We could take a Sky Swirl Harrier. We only have no, we have 2 flyers, and we have all this removal. Yeah, we're just gonna take a Construct. Don't think we're playing it, but it's definitely worth taking here. So, what are we cutting at this point? We're not cutting our Gear Hulk. We're not cutting our Ancient. We're definitely not cutting Fumigate. I think these 4 drops are locked in. I'll just take the rare and put it in the board, no big deal. I think the 4 drops are locked in, although I could see us getting rid of Malfunction. Although this does deal with artifacts, so maybe that's good. I mean, if our opponent has the Mythic Artifact, Aetherworks Marvel, then this would deal with it very well. Yeah, so this deals with Aetherworks Marvel, it deals well with crew vehicles. Meltdown can also get crew vehicles too, though, so we're okay there, and this can obviously tap them. We're just going to take Whirlmaker. I mean, this could be playable in certain matchups. 3 Revoke Privileges, an Acrobatic Maneuver, take a Patrol, put it in the board. 2 Blade Masters, we kind of have to play. And we have 17 creatures, so are we playing both Serpents is the question. I mean, Serpents are just so big. Take a Hermit, put it in the board. So, our removal looks like 2 Meltdowns and 3 Privileges. Is 3 Privileges better than 1 Privilege, 1... or 2 Privilege, 1 Malfunction? Huh. I actually kind of like the versatility of 1 Malfunction over the last Privilege. Also, we have all these Fumigates, or we have a Fumigate. Alright, so let's look at this real quick. We have the Fumigate. We have 2 instants to get back with Gear Hulk, so this is basically just a 5/6 flash for 6. Which is fine. I mean, I guess sometimes you maneuver like a Pioneer or something and get it back, but it's basically just a 5/6 flash for 6. We don't have a ton of instants here, but that's okay. What are we going to cut? 3 drops, we have 3 of them. And so we could cut a Herald of the Fair. Acrobatic Maneuver is pretty good in this deck with the Pioneers and the Augmenter and all of that stuff. We don't really want to play 16 lands because we have all this top end, although I guess we could consider it. These Gearseeker Serpents are really like 5 drops. Have to play all these 2s. Pretty much have to play Built to Last just because I don't know. So we can cut a Built to Last and play 17 lands. Or we can cut a Gearseeker Serpent. It's just not, I mean, it's good with the Pioneers, but what are we going to do? Like, play a Visionary Augmenter, make 2 tokens, play this on 5. It's a 5/6 for 5 unblockable. I guess this is better than Mastodon. It's better than Mastodon, it's usually going to be on 5 or 6, but this is pretty reliably on 5, and we don't need 2 blue for it. We have enough finishers as well. Yeah, I think I'm okay with this. Yeah, I mean, I could even consider cutting the Built to Last for the last Eager Construct. Just because, okay, so since we have so much power in our deck, our Scries are very good. Our Scries are actually probably better than our opponent's Scries, which sounds weird. A lot of people don't understand what I mean when I say that, but what I mean is that when our opponent looks at a land, when they scry, and they're putting it to the bottom, most of the time, their average card is like a Thriving Rhino, right? That's like what they're trying to get to. They're trying to get to like a random, like, creature, anything, whatever. When rescry and put it to the bottom, since 5 of our cards are so powerful, Serpent, Mastodon, Gearhulk, Fumigate, Aether Squall Ancient, plus the 2 privileges and the 2 meltdowns, we're like almost 35% to get a game-breaking card when we scry. So our scries are very, very good, whereas most of our opponent's scries will just be average. So that's why I think Ear Construct, that's why the scry, it's not always equal. Most people think it's equal. It's equal, I mean, it's less than equal if you're playing an aggro deck. It's about equal if you're playing something like blue-green. You have the advantage if you're playing something like blue-white or black-blue. That being said, I don't know if it's better than a Built to Last here. Built to Last is pretty good with these. It can protect our creatures in the early game. It can protect these. I think this is fine. We also have 15 creatures. That's plenty. All right. I mean, I think we're just going to add some lands. 8 and 9. That sounds perfect. It actually sounds a little less than perfect because we have all the dumb blue spells at the top. And going to submit this, and I will see everybody for round number 1.